It's great to be here. Of course, I'm here in San Anselmo, California, just north of San Francisco. And it is great to be here, but it's also great to be here with you in the virtual world of I'm probably on some screen while you guys are all together. So that's just exciting to see a big group of people all together. Nobody's wearing masks. We're living our life doing stuff, which is great. I'm going to have a presentation called Using OKRs to Shift from Output to Outcomes. I've created a special presentation just for you with a lot of help from the Agile Sparks team guiding me along the way. I have not made a presentation this large in Israel. So this is definitely the largest group I've seen. I can see you on the video in Israel. So I'm very excited about that. I'm breaking my own record. So congratulations to me. And I really have two parts for you. I'm going to talk about this shift, how OKRs can help us shift to outcomes. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time actually showing you how you can launch an OKRs program, tips for making your OKRs program successful if you choose to go that direction. So first of all, I am Ben Lamorte. I am the founder of OKRs.com. Now, people say I have more OKRs coaching experience than anyone on the planet. And that's probably because I started doing this about 10 years ago, and it quickly ramped up into a full-time job for me. And so now I just do this. I work with people all around the world, and I do OKRs coaching. And I've written 2 books now. The one that's got the little graph paper there called the OKRs Field Book is the one that just came out last year. And that's the one I recommend if, in fact, you're planning to launch OKRs. So with that, I will pop over to the next slide. I want to tell you a story because whenever I get to do a keynote, we actually have about 45 minutes. I don't know if I need all 45, but I want to start with the story. How did I get into OKRs, you might ask? Well, Jeff Walker was the founder of Oracle Applications. Larry Ellison brought him in the 1980s. And remember, Oracle in the 1980s started out as a hardware company, and it was about a $20 million company. Now, Jeff took it to over $1 billion with software by 1991. And this puts it in perspective. That's rapid growth where you're more than doubling every year. Actually, quite a bit more than doubling in some cases. And he made a presentation at a planning conference that I attended because he became my mentor. He called it Never Before Disclosed Oracle Planning Techniques. And that's where he introduced OKRs. But Jeff was my advisor at the company. He was called in because I talked a lot. I was very busy. I was doing a lot of things. It was a startup company. And so Jeff would call me up on the phone and he said, Ben, what's going on over there? And I said, well, we got the webinar coming up. We're operating on all cylinders. I mean, we're hiring those people. We're doing the prototypes. I mean, we're just working like crazy. It's going amazing. And Jeff said, Ben, let me ask you a question. When you go on a hike, do you have a destination? Now, I knew Jeff, he was one of these Oracle, wise guys. I didn't know if this was like a Yoda question or what, but I went along with it. And I said, well, I have a child and we go hiking and we have a general area where we're hiking, but, we might see a butterfly or we might just sort of see what we encounter in the general area and maybe a waterfall, and then we come home. And Jeff said, well, when I ask you about your personal life, I'm happy to hear about your daughter and the waterfall and the butterfly. But at work, when I ask you what's happening and you answer the question the way you did, do you realize you're wasting my time? You're wasting your time and you're wasting everybody else's time in the organization. And I just said, well, no, I guess I didn't really realize that, but it was sort of felt kind of awkward here. But Jeff was a really good coach. And he said, Ben, let me tell you how you can answer the question. You start by telling me the destination, and then you pause. And then you tell me where we are toward getting there. And then if you're really smart, you'll ask for my help on how you can get there. So he wasn't just being, pedantic or arrogant. He was actually telling me this is how you talk to executives. At Oracle, they had a zero tolerance policy. When you're growing your company by doubling it every year over and over again, you can't have people talking the way that I was talking. You can't be in the weeds telling them all these details, right? So Jeff actually advised me to do that. And I started doing that with other people. What is your destination? Start with that. Where are you trying to get? Why? How will we know you got there? That's going to be actually OKRs. Okay, so in a nutshell, the presentation could be over now. You get it. That's OKRs. That's how you shift to an outcome mindset. You get Jeff Walker as your mentor, and he tells you What is the destination, right? He asked that question. What is the intended outcome of whatever you're doing? So now I would answer the question. He'd say, how's it going? I said, well, we're focusing right now on having a successful webinar. Here's why that's important. And right now we have 250 registrations. The goal is 300. If we can get it to 300, we've achieved our target. We're going to be tracking how many of those webinars actually purchase the product. We're hoping for 20%. I'll know the answer to that later. That's it. That's the destination. So looking at this, when you do OKRs, there's 5 things that I just find over and over again are critical if you want to be successful. The first is less is more. You want a small set of OKRs. You want to be focused on the vital few. The second is crawl, walk, run. And this is true for so many things, right? Take it slow, get it right before you scale it. So many people read Measure What Matters, this popular book now, especially CEOs or leadership people, and they say, go do it, make it happen, roll it out across the whole organization, get everybody writing OKRs. That's a recipe for disaster. Outcomes, not output, has to do with what I'll be talking about today, where the key results should be outcomes as opposed to how much work we're doing, right? OKRs shouldn't be used to track how much work we're doing. It should be used to align on what are the most important outcomes that we're trying to achieve. OKRs are not everything. So many people try to take all of their work and put it into OKRs, and it becomes a political game. Well, what about this? I'm working on this project. Shouldn't we put that in the OKRs? I mean, it's important. And then the fifth is the only way to learn OKRs is to do OKRs. If you were to work with me, or for that matter, any OKRs coach, allocate most of your time to just doing it rather than talking about it. Of course, in a keynote, we're going to allocate most of the time to me talking to you about it. But if you're really going to do OKRs and you're going to spend a couple hours, 3-4 hours, let's say in a day workshop, you're going to put no more than 45 minutes to an hour on the theory, and you're really going to dive right into just doing the OKRs. A famous quote from my colleague who's also at Stanford, although now she's teaching there, is Christina Vodke, the author of Radical Focus. Her famous quote is, if you complete all your tasks, but nothing gets better, that's not success. So that's the output. You're checking the box, you're getting all these things done. That's the stuff we do. You see that here. But the outcome is the value we create. That's really where you talk about the key results. How do we know we're moving the needle? Okay. And I don't want to see any yawns over there because for me, it's like 1 a.m. And I think if I see any yawns over there, I'll say, guys, just get some coffee. I can't drink coffee at this point. I'll go crazy. All right. So the output mindset. Listen, this is where we live, and it's okay to live here, but some people only live here. They are in the output mindset when they don't have a clear destination, a little bit like I was when I was talking to Jeff Walker. I'm kind of scattered. I have all these things I need to do. I'm not really sure why we're doing what we're doing. And if you read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, this is like you're climbing up the ladder. And then once you get up there, you look around and you say, wait, what do I do now? I guess I better look for another ladder to climb. What am I doing up here, right? So you get down and climb some other ladder. Imagine that. You're just checking boxes off the to-do list. So an example is your boss says, update the blog. That's your project. Okay? You just start doing all these things, right? You connect it to Instagram. You start finding out who could be a blogger. You start adding more posts. You're doing it. You're updating the blog. You don't know why you're updating the blog. I heard somebody, and actually it was actually a team in Israel who said, we're just putting out fires. That's what we do. And I don't know if it's true, but this guy said, that's how it is in the startups in Israel. And I said, you know what? That's how it is in startups everywhere. We're always doing that. We're putting out fires. Don't take credit for it, okay? Just because you're in Israel. We all put out fires. But I will say that this is a life that we live sometimes where it's all we live. And what I'm trying to say is the outcome mindset is also an important place to go. You don't need to be here all the time, but this is where you're more strategic. This is where you're working smarter, not harder, right? This is where you're beginning with the objective and why, so that you know why you're trying to do what you're doing and you know what it is, right? Here you have an objective, improve the digital brand awareness for Generation Z. And here's why it's important. Digital marketing is pulling Gen Z readers to the new brands. Gen Z are the future influencers, et cetera. Look, this is just an example, but it's taken loosely from one of my clients. So the key result is double the number of Gen Z daily blog readers from whatever it was, 1,000 to 2,000 or 1 million to 2 million or whatever it was. This is the key result. It's a measurable statement, and it says, here's how we know we're making progress on that objective. This is like the destination. Then we have the action plan. Here are all the things we're doing. Okay, I won't read all these things, but these tasks are being created in the context of we want to achieve this key result. So now the team knows why the objective is important. Okay. Each key result has an action plan of things we can do to try to make it happen. So there are two worlds that we can live in, right? The output mindset looks a lot like this, a list of tasks. Okay. And the prioritization is, well, whatever's easiest, I can cross off the list. I just want to get it done. It's just human nature. I just want to make the list go away. Or if somebody yells at me, whoever yells loudest, I'll do it just to get them off my back. This is basically a defensive or reactive position that people take at work. So when people say, oh, we want to be more proactive, we want to be more, strategic, what does that even mean? A lot of times it means take an outcome mindset, or what I would call starting with the objective. Here's why, and here's the outcome we want, or the key result, and here are the tasks. So the idea is you're prioritizing what we believe will best achieve the outcome. Okay, I think it was Peter Drucker who said, we spend 90% of our time doing the work, 10% of it planning it. And he was saying we should be 90% planning it and 10% doing it, because obviously if we're spending 10% of our time doing the right thing, it's better than 90% of our time just doing stuff. We have no idea whether it's the right thing. I'm using that quote pretty loosely, but it's the same idea. So what is OKRs, right? It's a verb, first of all. It's something you're doing. It's an approach to work. It's a critical thinking framework. It means it's a set of questions you're asking, and you're asking these questions all the time. Just like Jeff Walker would ask me when he was my mentor, he would say, what are you trying to achieve? Why? How will we know you've achieved it? If you do that, what is the intended outcome, right? It tries to get people to work together. So it's not about this person achieving their result. It's about us. It's about working across teams. And it's not about getting your bonus, right? That's another important point. It's about focusing effort to make measurable contributions. What are we going to focus on, and how we know we're making progress? If it's really an important project and we really want to focus on achieving it, we should take the time to define what measurable progress looks like. Of course, not everything we do is measurable, but not everything is OKRs. These are the three questions. If you just ask these three questions, you're doing OKRs. And I've already said them, but I'm going to say them again. They're the fundamental questions. What do we want to focus on to move the needle in the near term? Or where do we want to focus, right? And at the end of the cycle, typically a quarter, maybe 4 or 6 months, how will we know we've achieved the objective? And usually what people do is they give us a to-do list, right? Update the blog, launch the website, release the feature, right? Stuff like that. But what is the intended outcome of updating the blog? Or what is the intended outcome of releasing the feature, right? That's going to get us to the key result. Usually people say, wow, that's a really good question. So these three questions, if you're asking them, you're pretty much doing OKRs. The objectives are just one sentence, qualitative sentence, starts with a verb, and it tells me, well, where are we going to focus to improve in the near term? And then the key results are, how do we know we've achieved that objective? It's quantitative, measurable, right? Not subject to opinion. And there's a standard way to measure progress. I put these things in red because people forget these things. In the case of the objective, they need to say, why is it important? Here's an example from a marketing team. The objective is simply increase the quality of leads cost effectively. Well, that doesn't seem exciting. Isn't that just increase? Sure, why don't we just do that? That sounds great. But this objective has an analysis of why. It says, we are not measuring the return on investment of major marketing spend at events. Our new CEO wants visibility now to create an ROI-based marketing plan next year. This is a fancy way for saying if we don't figure out the ROI, somebody's losing their job. This is a fear-based sentence. Similarly, here it's same thing. We can't have this cost per lead at 105. It's not going to work. And the sales team is not happy with the quality of the leads. So here are the key results. Okay, I won't read them all, but the idea is each of these key results is a measurable statement that addresses the problem, this why analysis. This why analysis educates you and motivates you. And it's very important, you shouldn't leave it out. One point to make is that the key result is actually written here for the quality of leads. Double the quality of leads. You can't say that. You have to say as measured by. This is the magic words for key results. As measured by, and here you see the rest of the sentence. It's an increase in leads that convert to opportunity within 6 weeks of creation, from 20% to 40%. Now you're telling me what it means to improve the quality of leads. Okay, I want to give you a conversation that shows how this goes. So again, this is based on a true story. I'm talking to a head of marketing, and I used to be a marketing guy, so I can pick on marketing people. And this marketing guy says, I said, well, look, where do you want to focus? Where do we want to focus in marketing to really drive improvement now? And the guy says, no hesitation at all, by the way. He just says, we want to delight our customers with relevant offers and communications. And this is classic marketing, right? What does that even mean? Delight our customers with relevant offers and communications? What kind of communications, right? So I could ask, why is that important and so forth, but instead I just used the OKRs method, right? I went to the next question. How will we know that we've delighted customers with relevant offers and communications by the end of the quarter? Because we were on a quarterly cycle. And again, this is almost funny when I look back on this, but this is exactly what he said. Well, we have to add 3 new fields to the marketing database. Now think about it. If you're a customer, I'm a customer, I don't even know you have a marketing database. You haven't delighted me at all. You could put 1 million fields in your marketing database and I just don't care. No. So that's actually a task. That's not an outcome. So what is the intended outcome? This is what I asked. I'm the coach, right? So I said, well, what is the intended outcome of adding these fields to the marketing database? Oh, it's so we can send better emails. Okay, well, how will we know the emails are better? And this was one of my favorite moments. He pulled up a HubSpot dashboard and he said, oh, I got dozens of metrics for that. I'm glad you asked. And he starts showing me all these things: time on page, click-through rates, I don't know, unique visitors. I mean, you're talking, percentage of visitors from US versus percentage of visitors from China. I'm like, okay, look, I'm not asking you show me all the metrics that you're tracking. That's not my question. My question is, how will we know you're sending better emails? And he says, wow, that's actually kind of a good question. But I think I figured it out, because it says here, delight customers with relevant offers. Aha, yes, I got it. Relevant offers, that means that they're opening the email, see? So if I can improve my email open rate, then I'm achieving the objective. And I said, okay, well, what is the email open rate now? And he said 2.8%. He said, I got that right here on my dashboard. So I said, what do you want to improve it to? And he just laughed at me. He said, Ben, I thought you said you knew about marketing. I mean, 2.8%, we're like best in class. Is like anything above 2%, you're really happy. So I said, okay, you just want to maintain it above 2%. He said, yeah. I said, that's not a key result. Key results are not keep the lights on. Key results are not keep things the way they are. Key results are about moving the needle, improving, making an impact. So how we know we're really moving toward delighting our customers with relevant offers and communications we're making progress, not just that we're doing what we're already doing. He was stuck. I said, well, okay, imagine that you sent the most amazing emails ever. The Marketing Association, International Marketing Association invited you to be the keynote speaker because your emails were so good, right? What would you point to? And he said, well, it wouldn't be how long the emails. I know, I'm not asking you what it wouldn't be. I'm saying, how would we know your emails were great? And finally he said, well, ultimately you'd have to increase the revenue per email sent. That means we're sending emails that drive more action. You can't just do click-through rates and things like that. And I said, okay, that's your key result. And he said, whoa, I can't commit to that. That's not 100% of my control. I mean, you have merchandising, you have seasonality. I mean, there's all customer behavior. I can't make that my key result. And I said, but this isn't going to be a performance measurement. You're not going to get your bonus based on that. Let's just talk about what success looks like. Let's not talk about what's 100% in your control or what you can commit to quite yet. Let's think about what is the most amazing outcome we can imagine. And let's start there. Okay, that becomes the stretch. So the stretch of the key result, by the way, I'm now showing you a key result that's going to show you stretch, target, commit. This is the best way to write a single key result where we align on what does amazing look like versus what does the commit look like. So the stretch is 10% increase in revenue per email sent this quarter versus last quarter. But it's only got a 10% chance that it'll be met. It's not very controllable, and it must represent an outcome. Now let's just look down here at the commit at the bottom. The commit is, well, what do we know we can achieve, right? Let's actually talk about what is 90% likely to be met, what is very controllable. And by the way, sometimes this does look like an output. And he said, well, I'm going to report the results of 5 email campaigns using the new fields of the marketing database. I'm not going to commit to any actual moving the needle. I'm just going to commit to we've reported results of our campaigns because a quarter is not very long. I said, okay, that's fine. What would a target be? So it's somewhere in between the amazing thing that we don't think will happen, but wouldn't it be amazing, and what we can commit to. And he said, how about 10 email campaigns? And I said, pause. Running email campaigns is just more output. It's like we did more stuff. And we really don't want key results to look like, see, look at all the stuff we did. Look at all the boxes we checked. I call it the CEO test. If the CEO came in, does the CEO get excited about how many pilot email campaigns you're launching? No. At least most CEOs wouldn't. Maybe there's some CEO that's like, wow, you ran a bunch of campaigns. That's great. Let's go to the pub. That business is probably on its way out. But here you see here, I said, well, what would it be? Would it be better to run 10 pilot campaigns that are unsuccessful or one successful one? These are the questions I love to ask. Obviously, one successful one would be better. At least that's what he said. Okay, well, what would be a good number of successful pilot campaigns? 2. That's not good enough. What is a successful pilot campaign? Here's where you start to see it. 2 email campaigns show an impact of 5% increase in revenue per email sent over a 4-week period with 5,000 or more emails in each pilot campaign. It's a lot of words. But now we know what you're talking about. That's the point. With key results, we have to know what you're talking about. It can't just be ideas. It has to be clear, specific, and measurable. Kind of like SMART goals, if you've ever used those. Okay, so this took like 40 minutes for us to get this key result out of this VP of marketing. And it was just one of the key results. So sometimes this takes time, but at least now we're aligned on what does the destination look like? What does progress look like? So when now I'm going to shift a little bit into how do you actually do an OKRs project? I wrote a book called the OKRs Field Book, and this is the key structure that I use. It has 3 phases. So we start with deployment coaching, then we do the training, and then we get into cycle coaching. And I'm going to walk you through each of these pretty quickly. So deployment coaching has to do with figuring out the rules of the road before you do the training. And I have a number of stories of how I failed in my early days because I didn't do this. But this is like building the foundation before you put a house on it. Turns out it's a good idea. Doesn't take too long, actually. But you have to know the answers to these questions before you roll out OKRs, right? The first one is actually, why are you even doing OKRs? I left it off here, but that's actually the most fundamental one. And then that informs all of these, right? Where will we set OKRs? At the company overall or a team, maybe individual level? What about how many OKRs will be set? I like a small number, right? Just 1 or 2, typically 1 or 2 objectives, maybe 3 or 4 key results per objective. That's a good way to think about it. I won't go through all of these, but how long is the OKR cycle? Is it a quarter? Is it 6 months, et cetera? Okay. So you answer all these questions, and then you're ready for the OKR cycle. Well, you do a training workshop. Again, this results in the beginning of defining OKRs in that training workshop. And you can train now your organization because now you know the answers to those basic questions. Because somebody's going to say, wait a minute, what's the difference between an OKR and a KPI? Well, the funny thing is, nobody knows what a KPI is because everybody I talk to tells me something different. Booking.com had 1 KPI, room nights booked. I worked with a bank, they had thousands of KPIs. So are KPIs just 1 or KPIs thousands? Let's start with that. I don't know. Depends on who you ask. KPIs, sometimes they're going to determine your bonus. Sometimes they won't. But a lot of times they do, or they measure your performance as a team or an individual. Well, anyway, OKRs are different from KPIs, but how are they different for your organization? We figured that out before we go into the training. Otherwise, it can get railroaded by somebody asking these questions, okay? Now, in the cycle, we define OKRs, we check in, we reflect and reset. I'm going to walk you through each of these steps, and I'm going to show you what not to do, how to avoid the common pitfalls. See, when you're first defining OKRs, what most people do is they define too many OKRs. I kid you not. We've had about 1,000 conversations with organizations that are using OKRs. Not one of them has said, Ben, you know what our problem is? We don't have enough OKRs. We need more. They never said that to me. They always say, or maybe almost always, Ben, we need your help. We have too many OKRs. How do we get focused on a smaller set? So that's why I recommend starting when you're starting with OKRs with the minimal possible number of OKRs that you can live with. Probably just 1 or 2 objectives, 3 or 4 key results each, and that's it. A lot of times people write key results as a list of tasks. They're just measuring output. So they're using OKRs, but they're using it as a to-do list. It's sad, right? And then they tell me that OKRs are failing. Well, yeah, but that's because you're doing it wrong. You're just making a to-do list. Don't do that. Okay. And then they don't tell me why the objective is important now. So obviously the solution is small number of objectives. Distinguish between key results, health metrics, and tasks. Wait, what? Health metrics? What is this guy talking about? Well, I'll show you. OKRs are not everything. OKRs are the things we want to focus on to improve in the near term. Remember our guy who was trying to do email open rate and he said, oh, it was 2.8%. Well, it's already in the healthy range. We don't need to focus on improving that. Just keep it where it is. So when you're maintaining things, those are health metrics. So those are also sometimes called KPIs, but they're not the focus of improvement. So sometimes key results are KPIs too, but they are the focus of improvement. So KPIs are maybe broader than key results. I don't know. The point is maintain website uptime at 99.99%. That's not a key result because it's already at 99.99%. We don't need to move the needle here. Just keep it where it is. And then the just do it's are the things that we just need to do. So many times people think that something that's, takes a lot of time is a key result. It's going to take me a lot of time to update the security software in our company. It's going to be a big pain in the butt. So that's a key result because it's important and it takes a lot of time. Nope, wrong. It's just something we need to do. It's not a key result. A key result is how do we know we're moving the needle to achieve an objective? That's just something you do. You update the security software. Completing the audit. We have to go through the audit. Is that going to drive our business forward and make measurable progress on our strategic objective if we complete the audit? No, it's not. It's just something we have to do. We just make sure our CFO doesn't go to jail. And then things like interviewing people, we just have to do that too. If we want to grow our company, we got to keep interviewing people, but it's not a key result. But yet people put things like this as key results. Okay, so here we go. Here's my quiz. Of course, I don't know exactly how we'll do this. Maybe you can chat or you can do the YMCA symbol. I don't know. But only one of these things is really a key result. But yet all four of these things, I've seen them from my interviews with clients, of course, before I started working with them, and they thought these were key results. Create the job description for the chief medical officer position. What do you think? A, B, or C? Well, it's hard for you to answer the question. I can see you, but nobody seems to be moving very quickly. But anyway, yeah, the answer is C. So you could have gone like that. I probably would have got it, but nobody's doing that. But what I would say is, yeah, this is just a task. Do it. It's not a key result. What about increased time per unique visitor from 200 to 400 seconds? Uh-oh, I'm getting a chat. Most people said C for the first. Okay, good. So yeah, you guys are doing great. I can't really hear you is the problem. Okay, what about, yes, key result. Okay, so you guys obviously did well in your tests in school. What about install the new software by the end of the quarter? Now, some people think this is a key result. They get confused. This could be a key result if you said install new software successfully by the end of the quarter as measured by it takes 2 weeks to onboard employees instead of 4 weeks or something like that. If you made some kind of a measurable statement, or no, the new software is a success because now people are on hold for only 10 seconds instead of 10 minutes, right? That software is to reduce the hold time on the phone. Oh, okay. Well, then it can be a key result. But if you just say it, install the new software, it's a just do it. C, but hesitating, I see on the chat. Okay, so you got it right, but it was intentionally a little bit more confusing. And then maintain average patient visit time at X. I know what you're going to say because you're going to use process of elimination, and you know that this is a health metric, and the keyword is maintain. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. Thank you, Yale, for chatting with me, right? That's good. So I know you guys are paying attention. You're getting the quizzes right. So the second step of the cycle, look, first of all, what people do, and by the way, anybody that works with an OKRs coach will probably almost always, I would say pretty much always across the board, succeed on step one. They're going to write effective OKRs. They're not going to write things like this, okay, for their key results. They're going to maybe have better key results that are measurable, like number 2. But then what do? They set it and forget it. This is the problem. It's like New Year's resolutions. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym. Yeah, sure. Maybe for like a few times and then you forget. You just go back to your regular life. Of course, that's not true for you, but I'm talking for me. Then what a lot of people do is they add all these meetings. They introduce all these OKRs meetings. That's terrible. Don't do that. If you add more meetings to your life, like every Monday we're going to meet and every Friday we're going to meet. We're going to talk about OKRs, twice a week for an hour or something. This is going to destroy your OKRs program. Nobody has this kind of time. So you want to integrate OKRs into your existing meetings. That's the key. And then what we do is we use a check-in template. And in the check-in template, we have a standard way for talking about progress on key results. Now, this is one example. It has 4 boxes, and it just says, well, where are we now? How confident are we that we'll achieve the key result? Hint, start at 50%. And so it becomes the change in your confidence. Am I more than 50% confident? Am I less than 50% confident? I don't know what this is called in Agile, but I think you have something like this in Agile. What are the blockers? And then what are the next tasks, key tasks? Got to fit on one slide. Okay, no small font. Speak to an executive, right? And then at the end of the cycle, this is the very end of my presentation, because now you're doing the end of the cycle. And what do most people do? They skip it. They don't reflect and reset, or they do a retrospective. Now, I know the Agile people love to do the retrospective. I don't think everybody is going to appreciate me when I say this, but I think sometimes Agile retrospectives, or maybe not even just Agile, but just in general, a retrospective looks back only. We look back at the process and we say what went wrong, what went right, but we don't actually look forward. And to reflect and reset, we're doing both. It's like a zigzag. Look back, look forward, look back, look forward. And we do it on every key result. So I want to show you what I mean by doing it with one key result. Here is a key result from an insurance company where they wanted to increase partners from 100 to 500. Now they committed to 200. They knew for sure they could get 200 partners. They had them all lined up. And their target was 300, but they only got to 140. So they scored a 0. They did not even hit their commit level. Well, I said, what did you learn? They said, well, the partners were spending $1,000 to become a partner. So we assumed that they would start selling the insurance, but they didn't. They need more help. So we can't just keep signing partners up. This isn't going to work. We have to look beyond how many partners get signed up. We need better partners. We want more better partners. Well, how do we know a partner is good? A high quality partner is good if they sell 3 certificates in the first month, because when they do that, they continue to sell. They get that initial success. They keep going, oh my gosh, well, then we're already measuring that. Let's make that be the key result. So at the end of the quarter, they threw the key result out and used this one. In other words, they got smarter about what their key result should be. All right, so that's the key point. So anyway, listen, that's the end of the cycle. I want to say thank you very much. I want to tell you, you can get a preview of the field book, well, at least the first chapter or 2, from OKRs.com if you navigate around. Connect with me if you want to talk about OKRs. This is me at like 1 in the morning, okay? And you can probably tell I'm a little bit tired, but I'm still excited about OKRs. This is a topic that I find very important, because I do believe if we ask these questions, like Jeff Walker asked me, right? It gets us really thinking more deeply. Why are we doing what we're doing? How will we know we've achieved it? It makes it possible for alignment. It improves communication. This is important to do if we're going to have people reporting to us. We can use these questions and we can coach them better. And I think it's very consistent with Agile. Everybody I talk to in Agile actually says, oh yeah, I'm pretty much already doing this, but okay, cool, I'll layer this on. It's not a huge transformation for you if you're already doing Agile to do OKRs. And then you can also join the network if you really want to do that as well. Okay, so I will say thank you very much, everybody. Listen, it's really an honor to be able to have my largest presentation ever in Israel. All right, enjoy the rest of the conference.